Hey guys, this is Jason from Outdoor Adventures, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about water filtration and water storage. Also guys, I'd like to welcome you to my campsite. I haven't been down here in quite a while. This is where I come to do all my gear testing before I actually take it out on a trip. And pretty soon we're going to be spending some time down here, setting up a mock campsite and doing some instructional videos down here as well. Not all water sources are clean, and you really have to watch out what kind of water you're putting into your body. I mean, it could be filled with bacteria and protozoa and viruses, and those are things that you just don't want to ingest for obvious reasons. Now, there's plenty of ways to treat water. I mean, you have water filtration and water purification. Water filtration just means you're getting I'd say the bulk of the nasty things you want to avoid filtered out of the water via a very, very small membrane filter. And water purification means everything in the water is pretty much going to die. Water purification, a good example of this is boiling your water or treating it with chemicals. So with that, I've brought a couple things to show you as a beginner. Keep in mind this is a beginner series. I'm not going to go into all the topics, all the advanced topics, but I will give you a general idea of some things you could buy, especially if you live in North America, that you could do. Now, I have 3 filters with me. We have the Sawyer Mini. If you want to go cheap, this thing is excellent at $20. Sometimes I've seen it as low as $15 or $12 even. This will pretty much do everything you want it to do if you live in North America. The only thing this won't do is filter viruses. It'll filter bacteria and protozoa and all the nasty things that you don't want to get, like Giardia, which is very common. And this is the Sawyer Squeeze. This is basically a beefed up version of the Mini. This has a better flow rate. It's also, I think, $30 to $35, but this works excellent. It's only a couple ounces more than the Mini. And then I have a pump filter. So let me just get into the differences between these, and let me just take this thing out of the bag. Okay, and for a pump filter, what we're going to do is we're just going to put this end into the water. Now, one of the downsides of this, the water has to be deep enough where this thing can be submerged. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it right here, set this on the ground, or you can hold it, and we're just going to pump. It takes a little bit of time, but it works out very well. Filters out all that nasty stuff that you don't want in your body. This was my first filter I ever used. I switched for a couple reasons. For one, it's very, very tiring to use. It takes a while to fill up this bottle. I mean, there are faster pump filters out there. This isn't necessarily the best one, but it does get pretty tiring. Another thing, I think this one's $80. They're semi-expensive, but they do filter out a lot of things that you don't want in your body. These are fine. So you can see we filtered out a quarter of a Nalgene bottle here. Okay, so that is a pump system, and if you're using it without a screw-on cap, it's just going to kind of look like this. You see that steady stream of water coming out the bottom. You don't have to use a wide mouth bottle. You can simply use a water bottle and just put that little tip into the bottle and you'll be fine. However, when I use this, I tended to like a screw-on bottle just so I can get it pumped down fine without having to worry about holding a tiny bottle over this thing. But it works out perfectly fine. Now, a couple reasons why I'm not still using this system. We already went over that it takes a lot of energy to pump. Second thing, it takes up a ton of space compared to something like the Sawyer Mini or the Sawyer Squeeze. So let me dive into that, because for the most part, one of these two options are probably what you want to do. I'm not telling you have to go this way. I'm just saying for the popularity of these two filters, this is probably what you're going to want to do. You're given a bag. It's a 16-ounce bag. This is a 32-ounce bag. tend to like having liter bags better than the 16 ounce. What you do is you take off the cap, and this will become a dirty water bag. What you do is you're gonna fill this bag up. Now right away you're gonna notice that I'm not gonna be able to fill this bag up by the way I'm doing it. So what I have done, and I always carry this with me, is I have taken a water bottle, okay, and I've cut the bottom off. You can cut the top off, it doesn't matter. But this will act as a scoop for the water, and then I can pour the water into here. Just like this. Now that being said, these bags work really well whenever a little stream, a little trickle is coming off of like a little rock or a little waterfall. That works great, whereas the pump filter would not really work in those situations unless you had a pool of water. You could always bring one of these and pump out of here, but I think that'd be semi-annoying. Now once this bag is filled up with dirty water, you're able to screw this filter onto the threads, open the top, and you're able to turn it upside down, and you are just going to just fold the bag down, and slowly water will start to come out of the filter. Now, in my opinion, this doesn't require as much effort as the pump system. All you got to do is hold it here, and I'm squeezing very, very gently. These bags, I've had a couple failures on these bags over the years. You know, don't squeeze them very hard, they will fail on you. So you just got to kind of be gentle. And you can see that this is pretty much, in my opinion, a faster way to filter water. I mean, we were already up to half of a liter already. Now this will filter pretty much everything that you want to not ingest out of your water system. The only thing this won't do is filter viruses. Now, viruses, typically in North America, you don't have to worry about viruses, especially on the places that you know, that I hike. I haven't had a need to take any extra precautions. Now, sometimes if the water's really, really murky, say I'm getting it out of like a, you know, a standing pond, or, you know, something that, you know, a pool of water that you can tell has been sitting there a while, what I'll do is I'll filter it, and then I will take it to camp and boil it as well. The same thing goes with the Sawyer squeeze system. Once you get your dirty bag of water, you're going to take the Sawyer, and now I'm not going to drink any of this water, so I'm not going to take the extra precautions that I usually take, but I do need to tell you that whenever you have water on the outside of your bag, which you usually will if you're pouring it from this, make sure to wipe this down, guys. This has the potential to, when you turn it upside down, the water will run down the bag and it will get onto the filter. So make sure you take that precaution. Take a towel, take a bandana, whatever, wipe it off with your hat. Just make sure you don't have a wet bag that's going to seep down into your clean water, and you may even get infected that way anyway. So just take some extra precautions. You can see how fast this is compared to the Sawyer Mini. Okay, and there's our clean water to drink. So as far as filters, that's pretty much it. It's not rocket science here. It's just basically however thin the membrane is, that's how much stuff will be filtered out. So I think these are, I want to say 0.1 microns. And that means it will basically filter out everything except for those viruses that I was talking about. And you know, you just have to do your research. You have to figure out if viruses have the potential for being in your area. Like I said, typically in North America, anywhere that I've personally hiked, I haven't run into any issues with viruses. I've come in contact with Giardia, which is not a fun experience, let me tell you. So you have to make sure you're very careful with the instructions on how to do this. Wipe your bags off, and I would say choose one of these two filters here, the Sawyer Mini or the Sawyer Squeeze. I personally like the Squeeze just because of the flow rate. I don't mind spending an extra couple bucks for some decreased water filtration time. Now with that being said, we've talked about water filtration. Now, where do you keep your water after you filter it? Well, let's head back to the campsite and then we'll go over that a little bit. Okay, now another topic that we should probably go over. I'm not going to go over in depth about this. I'm just going to tell you my experiences and I'll let you make your own decision here. It's not a big topic, it's just water storage, and this is really, really personal preference. First, we have the iconic outdoor product, the Nalgene bottle. These things are basically indestructible. You could bang them off a tree, you could put boiling water in here. Also with the Nalgene bottle, they usually have measurement lines on the bottle itself. It'll tell you how much water you have left, it'll tell you how much water you've drank, and it'll also help aid in your cooking process. So we have the Nalgene bottle. Now the next type of container we have is the standard water bladder. They're a real light but durable piece of plastic. Basically, you just put your water in here, fill it up. It usually has little marks telling you how much water is left or how much water you can fill it up to. For instance, this is an Osprey Hydraulics LT. Now, I don't want to go in detail on how these work, but basically you have this little, most backpacks at least, have this little hydration port. It's usually labeled H2O or something. But you take this and you run it down through your pack like this and you kind of just hook it on. Sometimes they have a little magnet piece you can hook these onto, like that. But nothing annoys me more than having to run this line out every time I fill up for lunch. And the reason why I chose the Hydraulics LT by Osprey is because they have this little button right here that allows you to detach that little piece that runs through your shoulder strap. So you can just take this out of your pack, you can leave this right where it is, and just clip it back in when you're done. This is also very, very light. I forget what the ounces is off the top of my head, but this has worked out great for me. I've since switched to a different system, which I'll get into in just a second. But this is a very, very popular method of carrying water. It goes right in your pack. You don't really have to take your pack off to drink, which you may have to do with one of these Nalgene bottles or with the next solution that I'm going to show you. But I've used this for like 2 years before I wanted to try something different. So, water bladder system. And then finally we have, just a very, very light disposable water bottle, which this is a smart water bottle. This is very, very popular in the hiking community. And they sell this in this liter size, which is perfect. I usually carry, 2 of these bottles, one on either side of my backpack. Now what I do is I buy these smaller water bottles and they come with this little cap right here. And basically what this allows you to do is, so instead of taking the cap off and then drinking the water, basically this is just a little flip cap and you can drink the water that way. I also have one on my Sawyer squeeze, so it's really kind of neat. It actually weighs less than the cap that it comes with, only by a couple grams, but it kind of looks cooler, and I won't lose this because it's actually screwed onto the Sawyer. So that's a little cool thing. Also what you can do is you can take this cap off of the Sawyer, and if you put clean water into here, there's this little nub right here that the water goes into. These actually pair up perfectly, so you can potentially unclog a clogged Sawyer filter. Now these don't get clogged hardly ever by any means, but you do have to clean them every now and then. Like once I get back from a trip, like after a week, I'll clean this. With the Mini, you have to clean it a little bit more often, and this is a great way to do it. Again, you just kind of pair those 2 little points right there and squeeze your clean water through here. And another plus side of using a bottle system, whether it be a Nalgene or a disposable bottle, is that you can see visually how much water you have left without opening your pack and looking at the water bladder system. It's also a lot easier to pour this kind of system when it comes to, if you need lunch water or dinner water, than it is to either take this all the way out of your pack and pour it out through here, or raise this in the air and squeeze the water out that way. So I just find these bottles easier. Now another filter that we haven't talked about is the UV filters. And basically SteriPens are a good model here. The only reason I don't do SteriPens, and they're great, they're a great product, they work. The only thing I don't like about them is, say you have some dirty water and you have, stuff floating around in them anyway, like, mud or, leaves or whatever. The SteriPen isn't going to make that water any cleaner for you. It's going to make it safer to drink, but you'd still have to run it through like a Sawyer filter or a pump filter. So, if you are worried about viruses, and like I said, depending on where you live, you might be more worried than others, you could bring your Sawyer squeeze or your Sawyer mini and then use a SteriPen to kind of finish it off, take care of everything in your water that would be harmful to you. Again, I haven't come across any water sources that I needed to use secondary filtering. I do have some secondary chemical treatment in my first aid / emergency kit that I could bust out and I could kill anything in the water, but usually I just opt to boil the water. So I just take a couple of they make these little tablets. They're basically iodine tablets, and they usually kill anything that's in the water. Now, the only downside of those of chemical treatment is you usually need another treatment to neutralize the iodine taste, because it does taste really bad. Not to the point where it's undrinkable, I just don't like the taste at all. But potable aqua, aqua mira, I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but check those out if you want a chemical treatment on top of your filter treatment as well. So guys, that's pretty much it. We talked about water filtration, water purification, and water storage. It's all personal preference here, guys. I can give you my advice, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what to get. Like I said, I prefer smart water bottles for my storage, and I prefer the Sawyer squeeze for my filter. But I also have secondary chemical treatment in case I need to make the water safer, whether I use the chemical treatment or I bring the water to a rolling boil. So guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments or concerns, or if you have any ideas about future videos, don't hesitate to ask. Leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps somebody.